Here we have Wilkiea macrophylla, large leaf Wilkiea. Basically means the same thing. It's one of those great botanical names that actually makes sense. The macrophylla basically means large leaf. It's in the Monomaceae family, which you might not know too many plants from because there aren't many in the rest of the world, but Monomaceae is very well represented in the Gondwanan flora. And so the reason I want to talk to you about this one is it's a good representative of that much more ancient Australian flora that goes all the way back to Gondwana. It's a shrub in the understory. It's quite a small plant. Might get up to 3, 4, there could be giants of 6 meters perhaps. But in Mary Cancross here, we're more likely to going to see something in the 1 to 2, very maximum 3 meter range. They have a toothed edge to the leaf, and that toothed edge tells an interesting story as well in itself, that harkens back to the days of the megafauna in Australia, only a few tens of thousand years ago. But that tooth is enough to put off a herbivore chewing off the leaf and make it a little bit less palatable. It's also a very hard leaf, and it stays on the plant for a very long time. We can see that in that these leaves are growing lichen on the surface. A lot of leaves turn over quite quickly, particularly with trees that have got a lot of sunlight on them. They basically throw them away once a year. They've got their solar panel use and they're off, and they make new ones, make fresh ones. But down here in the understory, you've got to be much more energy conservative. Even if your leaf is only running at 50% or less efficiency, it's still worth keeping it rather than throwing it away, because it's still going to be producing much more energy than if you threw it away. But we've got these lovely fresh leaves, but we've got these old leaves, and the lichen can be quite a distinctive feature on it. They have a very small round flower. It's a white round flower, a bit fig looking like, but in that there's a little hole in the end of it. But in spite of that size, highly perfumed. And the perfume can emanate through the forest, and a lot of those perfumes are aimed at attracting small insects at night. The white flowers and perfumes are often aimed at night inhabiting insects. And once pollinated, that fruit that develops into a large black fruit, up to 20 mil long, very shiny, a reasonably thick layer of flesh on a hard seed, and that's dispersed by birds and pops up again in the forest and makes more little Wilkiea macrophyllas. We've just jumped across the track. There are plenty of these Wilkeas here in the understory. They're quite widespread. This one's, as you can see, a little bit bigger. It's got plenty of fresh leaf on it. It's also got the lichen covered leaves there. There's a few nibbled leaves on this one, and that might be an indication of its food source for the regent skipper, which is an unusual and beautiful little butterfly that specifically feeds on this plant, the regent skipper on Wilkiea macrophylla.